So I want to start off by saying happy birthday to one Phil Jackson, aka the Zen Master,
The GOAT coach.
GOAT coach of 2 championships as a player, 11 championships as a coach, career winning percentage of 70.4, which is the highest ever. Could you like most teams don't barely win? Like, just imagine how many teams don't for a span do 60% win percentage. So for a whole career for a coach to be at 70% just shows how great of a coach he was. And I think more people, as many people recognize that, I think more people need to recognize that and not just say he got to coach great players and star players like that.
I don't know any coach with a championship without a great player on his roster. Phil was able to get the most out of players with kind of bringing them together, playing as a team, sacrificing some of the things that you do best, and then I guess I can't think of the word right now, but just kind of keeping all of that ego in check and everybody doing for the team. I know his end with the New York wasn't great. He's not the best GM of all time, the best president of basketball operations of all time, but Phil Jackson definitely the best coach of all time.
Right. And like I said, I think one thing I like to say about him always, he got Michael Jordan to understand, to agree to be a role player, basically. Like Michael Jordan was always a team first player. You can just listen to him talk anytime about basketball. He always talk about team success. But Phil really, I think, pushed that on him.
He got him back into Dean Smith mode to fit in for a team for sure. Yeah. Definitely. And understand, though you may be the best player in the league, best player on a team, whatever, it's still a role that you play within that, and everybody got to play their role. That's how you win.
No, for sure, man. With that being said, I'm John W.
It's Fresh X.
And this is the Hoopers Morning Run. So, of course, we're getting closer to the NBA season, so ESPN is starting to put out their projected standings and award winners and things like that. And I seen the Eastern and Western Conference standings, NBA Central put them up on the Twitter page. And I find some of them interesting. I think some of them are probably, about right. They didn't have any 60-win teams, of course, because nobody projects a team to win 60 games. But for the Eastern,
nobody.
Yeah, but for the Eastern Conference projections,
somebody's gonna win 60.
Oh yeah, I mean somebody is gonna win 60, but they didn't predict anybody to win 60. So this is the ESPN's Eastern Conference projections. That's at 58-24. Bucks at 57-25. 76ers at 50-32. Heat at 49-33. Hawks at 47-35. Celtics 45-37. Knicks 44-38. Hornets 40-42. Bulls 40-42. And the Pacers right there at 40-40. At 40-42 as well. Any surprises so far? Like I said, these are just projections. Of course, the season actually has to be played. Players are going to get hurt. Trades are going to happen. But just off these projections for the Eastern Conference, any surprises anywhere?
Nah, not really. That's about pretty much, I think, what people expect. I mean, you could swap some teams here or there, but I think they're pretty much going the way that most people think. You think the Bucks and the Nets are at the top. Philly coming back, whether they trade Ben or come back with Ben, they're going to be top 4. So, yeah, I think they, you can swap some teams. Some people feel higher on the Hawks. Some people feel less higher. Some people feel higher on the Bulls. The Hawks, Bulls, and the Heat are those teams where some people think one of those could be that third slot. So that's kind of, the only difference. So that's just a matter of preference there.
Right. And I know to your credit that what you've been saying for, basically all summer, that the Heat, Celtics, Knicks, and Hawks are kind of all in that same,
Celtics too. I missed
all in that same range of where any of those can be flip-flopped. And I honestly do agree with that. All those teams could be flip-flopped because a lot of those teams have made some new changes. Have made changes, bringing new pieces in, not necessarily total roster overhauls, but they have made some big changes. The one I'm surprised with is the Bulls, because I feel like the Bulls have been, especially after they signed and traded for DeMar, signed Lonzo Ball. I feel like that's the one team. Maybe it's just NBA Twitter, but a lot of people is high on them. I know I've seen a couple people say they could maybe possibly win 50 games this year. I don't know about all that, but I thought the Bulls would be a little higher on that.
I could see them winning 50 games because a few teams in the East can win 50 games. I mean, if it meshes right, Lonzo, Zach, who's a 25 per game scorer, DeMar, who being in San Antonio has upped his playmaking. Like I think he's career high in assists every year in San Antonio. I think he had 7 last year, almost. So, I can see why a lot of people are high on the Bulls. You trade for Vooch in the middle of the season last year. Vooch is he's a consistent all-star. Respect him as an all-star center in the NBA. So you know, it's just a matter of that meshing how Billy Donovan gets them to play the role that Kobe White plays, the role that the bench plays, and then we see kind of where they go from there. But everyone else, the Heat, Hawks, Philly, and the Celtics, they're just a matter of how the health game plays out for them. But I think all of those teams are right there. They could be anywhere where you want to slot them.
Definitely. And these ESPN Western Conference projections. You got the Jazz at 55-27. The Lakers, the Lakers at 53-29. Phoenix at 51-31. The Nuggets at 50-32. The Mavericks at 48-34. The Warriors at 48-34. The Clippers at 45-37. Portland at 43-39. Grizzlies at 42-40, and the Pelicans at 37-45. Any surprises there?
Jazz at the top. I don't know if they're going back to back top seed. Obviously, I will get the motivation for them to be up there, but I don't know them back to back top seeds. The Lakers is a matter of motivation and health. Are they going to play we're the older team, so we're just going to not just make the playoffs, because they saw last year being at the bottom is harder than you think to make that run. So they want to be top 4, top 6 really, but you want to be top 4 at least. But are they going to be motivated to get the top 2 seed, or would they be okay with being a 3-4 and then just getting in the playoffs and then turning it on in the playoffs, knowing you got LeBron that's older and Melo's older, but you got the young guy Anthony Davis, but he was hurt a lot last year, and he's not young anymore. He's in that middle range. So the Lakers could go either way. And everyone else, I'm okay with them. I want to see Dallas. I want to see what Dallas does this year. Luka's coming in. He's Luka. Obviously, the hype's getting bigger every year, but he's getting higher on those top 5 lists, higher on these MVP lists. So it would be nice to see Dallas fight for home court. To get home court this year. But we'll see. I don't agree with Utah at the top. I don't think it's going to be as sweet for them this year as it was last year. Not that it was sweet last year. They worked really hard, and they were really beating a lot of teams. But I don't think teams are going to take the Jazz lightly this year.
Do you see the Clippers making that big of a fall, basically out of the top 4?
With Kawhi out, I could see it because who knows when Kawhi's coming back.
Right.
But I think Paul George is good enough to keep them in the top 5. Like I don't think they're going to fall into the play-in, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if they did finish like 6. I mean, it just depends until Kawhi comes, though, because I don't know how much time. I don't know how much time Kawhi's supposed to be out or whatever, but Kawhi's obviously a very, very, very important piece to the Clippers.
No, yeah, that's fair, and I can see that being the main thought behind it. They know Kawhi's gonna miss some extended period of time, and as good as those role players are, Terrence Mann is gonna fill in some. It's like nobody can really replace Kawhi's production. And speaking of,
I don't know how they'll do it, but I think somehow they should get John Wall, because you just paid Reggie Jackson, so don't listen to me.
No, yeah.
But I think if they would have known they could have possibly gotten John Wall, maybe they don't pay Reggie.
Right. And speaking of John Wall, him and Houston, there's been reported that both sides are working on a trade that works for both teams, both teams and player. What do you see John Wall? You see a landing spot for John Wall that works for both teams, that works for both parties?
I've been trying to think where would he work, where could he go right now. The first few things that got thrown out there that I've heard from people was the Clippers, obviously, but I don't think that's going to work. I don't think they have enough pieces. You just signed Reggie Jackson. I don't think that works. And then it's Ben Simmons, and that's just an easy pick because of the money. I don't think Philly would want to take John Wall right now. I don't think they'll do it or whatever. So it's kind of tough to say where could he go right now, because he's going to want to go to a competitive situation.
Definitely.
But Houston, they're saying they're competitive. They're committed to Kevin Porter and Jalen Green. So I don't think they mind if they get pieces opposed to trying to get something to help them win immediately. I do think they got an important piece in Christian Wood, who's not that old, but not that young at the same time. Like, he's like 26, so he's young, but he's like, how many years do you got? But I also respect them saying we want to go ahead and go with Kevin Porter and Jalen Green and see what you really got there, because those are two, players, especially Jalen Green in particular, that's looked at as really special talent. I think Kevin Porter could be a high scoring guard. I don't know about all-star guard. I know some people are high on him like that. I know he can give you buckets. I don't know if he's going to be an all-star bucket, But Jalen Green is like he has the potential to be a top shooting guard in the league, all-star type player. So why not go ahead and see what y'all can do with that and get Christian Wood? But back to with John Wall, I just really don't know where he could go right now. I've seen New Orleans out there. Somebody can't remember who it was posted New Orleans. That gives them a guard to try to get in the playoffs. Boston, but they, you extend Marcus Smart, you sign Dennis Schroeder. So some of these teams made sense 2 months ago, but then you sign certain players now. It's like, and these are teams who signed guards at the last minute too. So it's like they would have been interested if it doesn't happen.
Right. That makes sense.
So I'm not even gonna lie. I don't really know a landing spot for John Wall right now. Like I don't know where it would make sense for him to go.
I don't know if they have the pieces to trade for him, but I think they've been looking for a point guard. Dallas.
That's a good one. I like that.
Especially because John Wall playing with Bradley Beal early on and Paul Pierce, he's played with perimeter scoring, players. And he is I don't think people realize, but John Wall was an 8, 9, 10 assist type point guard. He was a true point guard.
Top of the league in assists.
I think, and he brings more defense to that team, which they could use as well on that perimeter. So I think that could be an interesting,
that moves Luka, because Luka is handling the ball way too much. I don't mind him moving off the ball. Then he can run the second units and stuff like that, but he's handling the ball way too much. So Dallas is I haven't heard that one, so that is a solid choice. And that's a team that's competing. I'm sure they have some draft picks and things like that.
Right.
John Wall, Luka, Porzingis, Tim Hardaway, if he's not a part of the deal, which he probably won't be. They got guards. So I like that pick. I like Dallas. And I was going to try to think of one more. I really don't got it because, I could have said Miami, but they get Kyle Lowry.
Right.
Orlando doesn't want no guards. Atlanta doesn't need a guard. Charlotte doesn't want guards. Like you said, Philly makes sense if you trade Ben because you need a point guard. But does Philly really want John Wall? So I wouldn't be mad if they, looked at it to see what else they could get, 3-team trade or whatever.
No, yeah, definitely. I guess the next part is is he still a starter for not even necessarily a championship contending team, but for a playoff team?
Yes, I think if he's on a team, especially with a distinct best player, Joel Embiid, Luka. Not that he can go to this team, but Giannis, he's on the team. This is the best player. You come in and play your role. He can give you quality minutes. He can run a team. The people just gonna look at the contract and they are like they don't understand why he got that deal. But when John, it's all a matter of him being healthy too. This will be his first year. Last year was his first year back from injury. Now this is his first full year back after playing your year back from injury. So I expect him to be solid this year. If he comes in for your team and he averages 18-8, everybody's not doing that for you. So even if let's just say Philly takes a trade, the money matches with Ben. Ben is young. He works in Houston or whatever. If John Wall is added to Philly, they're still at the top of the East, in my opinion. You add a couple more pieces. You still got Danny Green. You got Seth Curry. Still got the shooters. It's clearly focused on Joel Embiid. He's your best player. John Wall is offensively aggressive. He'll shoot. He's not a great shooter, but he will shoot the ball. He'll shoot more than Ben, so that'll make people happy, I guess.
Right.
It works there, especially if he's healthy. If he's healthy, he averages 18 and 7 on Philly at the minimum. So I think he's definitely still a starting point guard on a playoff team, and he's definitely there. If you got the right, Joel finished second in MVP, so it's no question he's the big dog there, and I think he could work out with him. He could fit there where if he's healthy and Philly's winning, he could have an all-star type year. They're winning, you averaging around 18, 19 points, getting 8, 9 assists, you're gonna get some all-star talk.
No, yeah, that makes sense. I can definitely see that, like you say. I agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah, but I just don't know if Philly would want.
Like so you just throwing the team out there.
But it would make sense.
Right. I think another team that makes sense right now, especially with their star point guard hurt, Denver.
See, I wanted to say Denver, but I'm like, do you want to rock the boat with Jamal Murray? There's 2 big contracts at point guard. So
you're right,
but no, that's they literally came to my mind. But I thought about Jamal Murray. And I was like, I don't know. So I feel
maybe Toronto. But
I thought about them too as you're trying to get back into the playoffs. Like you signed Fred VanVleet, but he's not. He could clearly play with another point guard. He played with Kyle Lowry.
Right.
It's just a matter who you have to give up because clearly you're not giving up OG. You're not giving up Gary Trent. So, but Toronto is a good choice also. So there's some teams out there.
Right. Speaking of Toronto,
not mad at you on those. Those are 2 insightful pick for sure.
Right. Well, speaking of Toronto, it's been reported by Real GM their Twitter they put out an article about Pascal Siakam about how he wasn't sure if he was the man or not because he didn't feel like the team was relaying that message to him. And of course, this comes after receiving the Supermax after starting All-Star appearance, All NBA appearance.
I think was he first? He was at least second team.
I think he was second team.
Yeah,
but when you hear this from a player that's already gotten that Supermax from a team, what do you think this mindset puts you as an organization? Because it's like, okay, we paid you this money, we did put the ball in your hand, but you're not sure if you're the number one guy here or not. Right. Does that put the team in an awkward position? Like, because how can you reassure him other than everything you've already done?
Right, exactly. When I first saw it, I just thought it was interesting to see that's really what he leaned on for the season. That's what he needed, and that's what he was actually looking for, opposed to just saying them, after 1 year, a team doesn't necessarily have to give you this Supermax. Because obviously he was a solid player before,
right.
But he had that one All-Star year where he was playing really well. Then the bubble, the stop happened. He kind of got hurt, and he came back a little sluggish or whatever. But he all in all, with how he fell off, his numbers still showed it was such a great season for him. So it was just interesting to see. To me, it just felt like the lack of confidence, and I don't know too much about Pascal's college career or whatever. I know he works out with Rico Hines. I saw the work he put in a couple years ago, so I wasn't surprised that he was getting better. They started going to him more as their second option with Kawhi. He played big for them in certain stretches for that finals run, and then you come out the next year and you play really well. And I just think your play on the court is what dictates that. He mentioned how he thinks Kyle Lowry is the best rapper, the best rapper of all time. He's the best rapper of all time. But I guess it's kind of like he, in a sense, was saying that he thought that Kyle was still the man. But Kyle hadn't been the man in a while. I mean, that was proven when Kawhi was there. It's just about being aggressive on the court and showing the team that you are, the man on the court. You are the one that they need to go to. So it was interesting to see that he actually admitted that, which I don't blame him for. You feel how you feel. Yeah. But it was interesting to see that he actually admitted that, the communication got cut off after he signed his Supermax. But it's like you signed a deal and then you go out and hoop, give him 25 again. Right. So, I think he's one of their building blocks. I don't think they're looking to trade Pascal. I think they're looking to build around him, Fred VanVleet. You got Gary Trent there, but they also need him to step up and not look for them to say, "Hey, you got the ball." They gave you you're the highest paid player on the team. You're the only All-Star on the team right now, especially now that Kyle is gone. You got to come in there with a leadership mindset, whether your leadership is vocally or if you're a leader on the court and your play does it. So this one I'm putting on Pascal. I don't mind him speaking up and saying because I think this is new for him. That's why I said I don't know his college career or whatever, but I don't know if he ever really been the man on the team. Green light, we're going to you, because even that year when he did go off, obviously they played through him, but he really just was being aggressive, and he just was having a great season. It wasn't like they was force feeding him. Right. So I think he just got to come in this year ready to play, trying to compete for the playoffs. He's a really skilled player. He has a lot to his game, passing, dribbling, shoot. Just be aggressive and try to lead your team to the playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all that. So, hoophype.com put out their top 10.
You got 10. The big bag, though, bro. You the man.
No. In fact, even when they paid Fred VanVleet, is it the bag that Pascal Siakam got?
No, I'm not counting these dudes' money. Get all the bags. He got over $100 million more than Fred VanVleet. You the man, my boy.
It's simple as that, right? Like I say, hoophype.com put out their top 10 centers for the NBA list recently. You want to hear this?
Wait, top 10 centers list?
Yeah.
Yep, let's hear it.
We got Nikola Jokic at number 1, Joel Embiid at number 2, Rudy Gobert at number 3, Karl Anthony Towns at 4, Bam Adebayo at 5, Deandre Ayton at 6, Nikola Vucevic at 7, Clint Capella at 8, Christian Woods at 9, Jonas Valanciunas at 10.
Right, so one more time. Number 5 was
Bam Adebayo.
Bam, and then
6 was Deandre Ayton, 7 is Nikola Vucevic, 8 is Clint Capella, 9 is Christian Woods, 10 is Jonas Valanciunas.
Okay. Shout out to Valanciunas. We was talking about, I can't remember, it was some shows ago, and we was talking about how he like he's really still one of the 10 best centers in the league.
No,
so yeah, that's what's up to see him on that list.
So any surprises? I think so far the 10 is the 10, but any surprises in the order?
I think that's definitely the 10. I think it's just because he doesn't have the playoff success, but just game wise, Cat's better than Rudy Gobert. He's better. Surely. He's a better player. He's just a better player. I like that they got Bam and Deandre Ayton, but honestly, I think Vooch could be in front of both of them. I think Vooch could be in front of both of those players. He's led the team to the playoffs on his own as the best player on that team. Respect to Bam. Miami didn't look good with just him on the court last year. Obviously, Jimmy's an important piece, but they were terrible. They were at the bottom of the East without Jimmy. And then when Jimmy comes back, they make their push. Like if Jimmy doesn't play, they don't make the playoffs. And while Bam played well, that was part of why he didn't make the All-Star team again last year. And why he's one of the best defensive centers, it still shows where he has a lot of growing to do. So I think I would put Vooch in front of them. I think Deandre Ayton has to step up this year, and he was my pick this year to be like a first-time All-Star, so I think he's going to do it. But he's got to show the rest of his game this year. He had a great rookie year, took a step back offensively because the whole team kind of got better. Mikal Bridges as a career high scoring, bringing Chris Paul in, Jay Crowder's getting his buckets. So it made sense. Cam Johnson, who's I think he's going to make a run for 6th man of the year this year, but he made a big jump too. So I'm not mad with Deandre Ayton in a minute, but I would put Vooch in front of him. And I will have Cat in front of Rudy Gobert, but I understand why Rudy Gobert is in front of Cat as a 3-time defensive player of the year, just won it last year. Right. Team consistently in the playoffs. I get why he's there.
No, yeah, I definitely get why he's there. Like I say, the top 10, that's the 10.
Shout out to Christian Wood too. He definitely deserves that. You got to stay healthy for a whole
year. That's for sure. But I still would figure he'd be in front of Capella. I honestly thought people would have him a little higher, like in front of Deandre Ayton, because I feel like, especially just off the numbers last year when he was on the court. Yeah, Christian Woods, he was 20-10 player for the most part last year.
Yeah, but I think Capella and Valanciunas are definitely the two most underrated centers in the league. Capella's starting to get some love though. He signed that extension, big bag for him. Led the league in rebounded easily last year, and probably lead in rebounding again this year. So, yeah, for sure. Shout out to Clint Capella, home team Hawks.
Definitely good to see a Hawks player in the top 10. Of course, we're going to have Trey in the top 10 point guards, too, if they put that out.
Yeah, for sure.
So, 3 Chinese league teams are interested in Demarcus Cousins. Demarcus Cousins at one point was easily the best center in the NBA. I'm not going to say the competition wasn't there because he played. He was out there.
He's best center by far.
25-10 guy. And as he got, as he went on and started getting to his prime, he had to shoot, and he got up to one point where he was averaging 5 assists a game. He was never the athlete, so he was never a rim protector, shot blocker.
Yeah, there's always more skills.
Demarcus Cousins was a good charge taker. Like, he took offensive fouls at a high rate as a center, even in Sacramento. When you hear about, when you think about that, going from that to hearing that, is 3 Chinese league teams interested in him, because I don't think he's getting the NBA interest right now. Of course, the injuries, but how much of that you think is also based on his time in Sacramento, where he came off as like the problem guy?
I think mainly injuries now, because I think with him sacrificing to go to the Warriors, kind of killed that. He showed he was about team, and then even the time he spent with the Lakers or whatever. I just think it's been so many injuries that have caught up, and I think he should do it too, especially if he's not on the roster right now, because he went to the Clippers and he looked helpful. The thing is, he keeps going to these teams and they have him and they use him because people get hurt, but not because he's really in their plan to be used. So he's not really getting in game rhythm or shape. I think he should go over there where he can spend a full year. He's going to be starting somewhere. Not that he's going to start in the NBA, but he could play a full year, start, show what he really could do, put up some numbers. Now you come in the NBA in some rhythm, and I think a team can sign, because the Chinese league usually end pretty early, but you can come back to the NBA. You can get picked up second half of the season. I think a team will need him, because somebody's going to need a big going down the stretch, because there's a lot of bigs to guard and to go back at offensively this I think going to be this year. Joel's only getting better Jokic, the Joker just won center, so there's a lot going on there. So he just won MVP. He just won center. A center, I'm gonna say a center that won MVP. He just won MVP. And they talk about Anthony Davis playing center this year. You just heard the list of centers. All those centers on that list, other than Gobert and Capella, could give you a bucket. Honestly, they could give you 18 consistently a game. So, offensive centers are gonna be needed. So I think go over there, get healthy, get your game in rhythm, and come back to the NBA.
Right.
If you want to play, the best thing to do to me is always be to play instead of just sitting until somebody call you, especially as a big man. You'll get out of shape easily.
In comparisons you never thought you would hear, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is quoted as saying he's the Black Steve Nash. I would like to hear the question that was asked to him as well,
right? But
just off the quote,
it was through a GQ interview. First of all,
that's what's up. First and foremost,
that's why I put it out there.
that's what's up. First and foremost, but just hearing that comparison, would that have been your first comparison for Shai, the Steve Nash type?
No, I don't have his career stats in front of me, but I think he's a better scorer than Steve. I think Steve was a better passer. I think Steve ran the team a little better. Shai, to me, I guess last year was his first full year running, really running for a point guard, running the team, but he still has to get that down. But, I mean, still so much to go with his game, and maybe that's where he sees himself, so maybe that's where he's trying to get to. So,
which there's nothing wrong.
Right, yeah, there's nothing wrong to it. But as of now, I haven't seen it yet. That's all I'm saying. And I ain't seen it yet. But Shai is a guy, he's been a lot of people's pick. I asked people who they think would be a first-time All-Star this year. He definitely was a lot of people's pick for first-time All-Star. And I like that he chose Steve Nash though, because Steve Nash always go through the slander because of his stats during the year when he won MVP, because people think that you just win MVP just cause or whatever. And he thought that's the only 60-win team in the history of the NBA or some stupid chunk like that. But Steve Nash was a really good point guard, one of the best point guards of all time. I don't care where you got him. Respect on his 2 MVPs, because I guarantee you he gave the point guard that you got above him buckets and assists, and his team probably beat them for sure. So it was weird he chose Steve Nash, so I'm not mad at him.
Not like I said, it's not. I'm not mad at him. It's just like, where did that one come from? Hey, what's going on, Canada Kenny, man? Shout out to you. Oh, yeah, we're going to be coming up on Breaking the Game real soon, so y'all be watching out for that. Shout out to Kenny and Steven, his co-host. Shout out to Steven. Hope he makes it back safe. Yeah, out there in them streets protecting us and whatnot.
What's going on, y'all? I can't wait for that. That's going to be dope for sure. Looking forward to it.
But other than that, you got anything else? NBA wise, I seen the video.
Nope. I got one thing I want to end with. Well, you can say something about the video, but I was going to ask you about this. So this is random. I didn't even bring it up to you when we were talking earlier. So Richard Jefferson.
I didn't want to talk. I saw
Richard Jefferson said, and I'm only going at this because we did a Hoopers room on this guy. But he said, it was great to play with LeBron, but the most talented player he's played with and who he thinks is the most talented player of all time is Vince Carter. He said that it was nothing that Vince couldn't do. What do you think about that? I had to bring it up. And first, before you go there, I just want to say he's not just talking out the side of his neck, because this has been said before by many people. It hasn't been like Vince Carter can really shoot. Like, he's not a guy like, oh yeah, he can shoot. He could be 40% from 3. He could be efficient from 2. He clearly can dunk. He can dribble the ball. He's a good rebounder. He's a good shot blocker. He really can do everything. And this is not the first person to say it. So, okay.
And all that is true. When you get into that, I just don't know about most talented, because I feel like
of all time.
There's other players of all time that can also do those same things just as good as he did it. I don't know about all time, but I can see where he's coming from.
So is Vince Carter, will he even be, let's just say, a top 10 talented player of all time?
Yes.
In the history of the NBA?
Yes.
I don't think that's a stretch.
Will Jordan, 10. LeBron, Bill Russell, who I just found out was number 2 in USA and number 17 in the world in high jump. Pistol Pete Maravich, because I don't think people really understand how talented he is. That's 4.
I got
Kevin
Hakeem
Durant
and KD in there too.
Yep. Kevin Durant, Hakeem, 5'6". That's what it gets.
I think Vince gives. That's what
Vince is in there.
Slide him in there.
Vince is in there. Yeah, he definitely is in there. He's definitely in there.
You can slide him in there.
Kobe, for surely.
Yeah.
I think Kobe had the talent to go with the skill. That's what made him the next level player as well. I think we all talk about the skill and tenacity of Kobe, but I don't really think people get into his talent too much. And he was a very talented player. Said KD, said Hakeem, Kobe, Steph. I think Steph is one of the most talented players. I've seen a quote that's been going. I don't know who said the quote originally, but it said Steph, his skill at shooting is better than anybody else's skill at anything else all time. And I
don't agree, but I see why they can say that.
No, yeah, definitely. I'm not saying
it's not a stretch to say that because he does shoot very
right. And then I think once you add on
not crazy,
the ball handling and all that, he is one of the more talented players ever. Especially when you think about how efficiently he does it as well. So that's 8. It's like say Vince Carter makes 9, 10. I don't know who.
I'm just gonna put it out there.
I was either gonna go Oscar or Earl Monroe at number 10.
I got Tim Duncan top 10.
I was thinking Tim
Duncan got game, man.
He does.
He naturally has game. Natural game.
With that,
I think he could wake up and he would have been a bucket. Waking up, he was that good. I don't think Tim Duncan ever practiced basketball. He just was good.
He just woke up.
Just
saying what they did for the Spurs.
He was good. He never practiced. He was good. Just naturally good.
I got no problem with Tim Duncan in the top 10 talented players ever. Yeah. I got no problem with that.
But Vince belongs amongst those people, though. So respect to Vince Carter. But
yeah. So before we get out, I seen a video just on Instagram. It was an old video. It was the Toronto Raptors versus Memphis Grizzlies, and there was Rudy Gay. Of course, game-winning shot. I don't think people realize how clutch Rudy Gay was. But it was a guy in the audience reacting, and he's like physically upset because he know Rudy Gay is about to hit this shot. And what I think about Rudy Gay, and like he's done that over time. He's hitting, especially when he went against like LeBron, Carmelo, KD, the other top small forwards. He really took those challenges personally to make sure people know you could put him in that class as well, even though he wasn't an all-star because he played in the West where it's going to be in the front court, Melo, KD, Tim Duncan, Garnett for the longest period of time during his career. So he was just one of the players that could never squeak his way into an all-star and really get that.
With his own, when his own was Zebo. So
right.
It's like, we're going to give you Mark and Zebo. We're going to give y'all 3. So it was always tough.
No, it definitely.
Yeah. But Rudy Gay's on that list of best players in the make all-star game for sure.
And he needs to get brought up more than that. But I think that's all I got for today. How about you?
That's it. Just as always, appreciate anyone that's viewing. You can catch us here every Friday off the Ball Network's Facebook page, our YouTube page, and on our Twitter page for the Hoopers Morning Run, 9 a.m. Every Friday morning. Make sure you catch us tonight, Friday night, 8 p.m. on the Nothing But Net channel through the Dash Radio app. Every Monday and Friday at 8 p.m. You got the Hoopers Hour again on the Nothing But Net station through the Dash Radio app. Go ahead and download the app. Just keep that close to your phone. We got other Off the Ball Network shows on there too. Every Wednesday, we've been killing it with the Hoopers Room. Appreciate everyone that's been, checking into those. Shout out to the Halftime app. Haven't chose the person for next week, but it's been cool doing them. We've had some really good ones, some good conversations, just some reminiscing on some times or whatever. So Halftime app, 6 p.m. every Wednesday. Go ahead and get with us on that for the Hoopers Room. And I'm trying to think anything else. Oh, and of course, where it all started, make sure you can find us anywhere podcasts are available. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, what's the other one? Pandora. Right. Yeah, we're on all those places. And do yourself a favor today. Go to YouTube, type in Trace McGrady pull-up jumpers, and just sit back and watch.
Shout out to Erica Willis for snatching ankles in the WNBA as well.
Yeah, come on, man. Do yourself a favor, too, and watch some WNBA. The playoffs is getting ready to come up. So it's about to get very, very crazy. And we'll see what happens with that. I don't know who I got to win the championship right now.
But it's been everything Asia Wilson.
That's why I was
Asia Wilson propaganda over here.
That's what I was going to say. But
propaganda.
I let them breathe a little bit. But yeah, definitely get ready for the WNBA playoffs. That's going to be fire. Other than that,
I'm John W.
Fresh X.
This was the Hoopers Morning Round.
Catch y'all next week.